Okay, gang, before we get into the introduction of the trial balance, I want to first kind of take you through visually the whole process. Remember, accounting is broken down into two parts. It's the recording part and the reporting part. And basically, it's in that particular sequential order. So what goes on is that basically, gang, we are recording transactions as they occur. When those transactions are recorded into the journal, they get posted into the ledger, and we continue to do that throughout a period. When it's time to shift to the reporting part of accounting, we first like to double check to make sure that some things are correct. And we do that with the internal report called the trial balance. So I just want to visualize for you all so that you can see how this process works. So what we have in front of us is just a journal. And we have a series of transactions that took place in January, for the month of January. And I'm not going to go in detail about them all, but I just want you to kind of take a look at what's going on. So we had a couple of things going on. I may mention a few of them. We issued some shares of stock actually on January 1st. Look like we purchased some land on January 2nd. And I'll just scroll all the way down to the end of the period. Also look like we paid some dividends. So a lot of transactions took place within the journal, but I just wanted you to see how it would appear. So our next thing we would do was post to the ledger. So now we have an example of the ledger. And as you can see, all of those previous journal entries that have been journalized within the journal are now posted to the ledger. And so we have each individual account that has been affected for the month of January. And as you can see, we have all of the following postings or the effects of each individual account, as well as its ending balance for the month of January. So let's briefly go over cash. Well, if you can look at cash, we have the actual dates that's in the corner. So obviously this is the first right here, right? And we have a debit to cash for $30,000. Then we know on the 2nd of January, we had a credit to cash for $20,000. Now, as I say this, gang, remember we always debit and credit. So basically we just posted those transactions. So if we look at the 2nd of January and we see a credit to cash for $20,000, let's look and see what the debit was for. So if you look at land, get the land account, we see the 2nd right there, the 2nd of January, and guess how much the debit was for? $20,000. So basically in those brackets are the dates in which those transactions took place, gang. And so back to focusing on cash, we have a series of transactions that affected it, right? And we've calculated at the end of January, the ending balance. So it seems as though that ending balance for cash is $14,200. We've done that for every individual account that was affected within the ledger. The last thing I want to talk about is just to reiterate how to calculate the ending balances. I know we've done that before in previous videos, but since we're here, we might as well. Let's focus on accounts payable. So if we're looking at accounts payable way in the corner, right? We saw on the 3rd, we had a credit to accounts payable for $500. Then we saw on the 21st, a debit to accounts payable for $300. Now, last name payable, we already know the tip. Accounts payable is a liability. Because it's a liability, it's in the clear game. So that basically means that we increase accounts payable on the credit side, okay? And so what happened on the 3rd was our liabilities went up for $500. And on the 21st, we made a payment on the liabilities. That's why we debited for $300. So how do we calculate the ending balances? You add up your debit side total, which is $300. You add up your credit side total, which is $500. You subtract the two numbers, which leaves us with $200. And whatever balance on the side had the highest amount is going to retain the ending balance. And since $500 had the highest balance between that and $300, the $200 difference is the ending balance, and it will sit on the credit side. And so we pretty much did that for each one of these particular accounts, gang, and calculated the ending balances. So now that we have our ending balances for our ledger, we can now move on to the trial balance. Okay, so here is a version of a beautiful trial balance for the company It's a Joke for the month of January. And before I get into this trial balance, I want you guys to understand this absolute certainty. The trial balance doesn't verify that you are 100% correct in your journal entries and your postings. So basically what I'm saying is that the trial balance could be correct, but you still could have screwed up in a transaction, analysis, or journalizing, or posting. All the trial balance assures you is that your debits equals your credits. So it's kind of like a self-check from that aspect. And if you know that your debits don't equal your credit, something is absolutely wrong. But in terms of it being 100% correct with the journal entry process and the posting, it doesn't verify that. So let's focus on the date. Because the trial balance is similar to the balance sheet, it reports balances. It cannot represent the entire month. It can only represent that one point in time. And so we made this trial balance for January 31st. And the trial balance is very easy to make, gang. All you do is list all your accounts and you list those respected ending balances that you've calculated in the ledger. So as you can see, we have an account column, we have a debit column, and a credit column. And all of this information is coming out the ledger, gang. Now, what's the order of your trial balance? Again, very easy. The order of your trial balance is simply the accounting equation. And we know that already because we are rolling, right? So, what's the accounting equation? Assets equals liabilities plus stockholders' equity. So we're going to list our assets first. Then we're going to list those liabilities. Then we're going to list our stockholders' equity. And then the accounts that affect stockholders' equity. Remember, gang, stockholders' equity is broken down in two parts: paid-in capital, which is issuing stock, and retained earnings. But we have other accounts that affect retained earnings. So, as you can see with this particular trial balance, we've listed all the respected accounts with their ending balances on the debit or credit side coming from the ledger, and we focus on a total at the bottom. And so look at our total. Our total on our debit column equal $38,700, as well as the total on the credit column. So we're almost sure that we're ready to roll and go towards the reporting part of the accounting, which would be the financial statements, of course. And so this is a version of the trial balance, gang. Very simple self-check way to make sure that your debits and credits equal. Again, a trial balance isn't a financial statement. The public never sees this. This is just internally for the accountant before they start creating those financial statements. And that's just about it. As always, gang, I appreciate your time and energy that you share with this channel. And if that light bulb is clicking, don't forget to like, subscribe, or share this channel to your friends so they can chase the bag with you. See you soon.